Welcome to the Lights Lounge, your weekly home for all things Las Vegas Lights FC. We're here every single week in 2025 as usual. Join us for a deeper dive into everything that happens on the pitch, including match previews and analysis alongside a new guest every single week. The Lights are fighting for their playoff lives right now, and 4 points out of a possible 6 from the last 2 games is keeping them in it. With injuries and suspensions causing some availability problems, the summer signings have been crucial to keeping the team afloat through a critical stretch. That includes a veteran midfielder, Tommy McNamara, who stepped into the captaincy over the last 2 matches. He'll continue to do so this Saturday against Miami FC and down the stretch of the season. So alongside me today to chat about the season and his journey to here, I have, of course, Tommy McNamara. Tommy, welcome to the lounge.
Thanks for having me.
Let's jump straight into it, and let's just jump straight into talking about the team before we get to anything else. I want to talk about the scoreless draw against Phoenix away last time out. Just give me your thoughts on the match. I think the overall general feeling seems to be disappointment with not coming away with 3 points.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to everything, right?
Yeah.
I think that, obviously we went there to go to try to win the game, and we wanted to win the game, and we didn't. I think that, they're a team that's in a playoff spot, away from home, in a tough place to play. To get a point is decent, kind of in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But, where we're at in the standings, we need wins. But I think when you look at the performance as a whole, I think we struggled the first half. I thought Phoenix was set up well. They did a very good job. They were positionally in really good spots that made it difficult for us, and we kind of struggled. But I think credit to us that we hung in there and kept the game at 0-0 and didn't concede.
Yeah.
And then we got back into the locker room, and with the coaching staff, we were able to kind of just adjust how we wanted to play, especially against the ball, and make it more difficult for them. And as a result of doing that, I thought we were the better team in the second half, and we had a couple of very good chances that, on another day could have been goals, maybe should have been goals, and, had the opportunity to win the game. So, yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, you don't have to give away state secrets here, but give some fans some insight into what kind of changes against the ball would be made at halftime. Is that like dropping or raising the line of pressure, changing pressing triggers? Like, what kinds of conversations are happening in the locker room at that point?
Yeah, it could be any of those things.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit about how we were pressing against them. We struggled a little bit with what we wanted to do and being organized enough. And so we kind of just adjusted that a little bit to make it a little bit more simpler what we were doing. And, it ended up working. Now we're back on the pitch this week, another week with Devin and the coaching staff of trying to get better.
What's the focus this week? I know Devin tends to like to focus on a singular topic over the course of a training week. So what's the focus on the training pitch this week?
No, it's been a little bit of everything.
Okay.
It's, you know what I mean? It's the defensive side particularly, and kind of how we want to press, who we want to be as a team, and what our identity is. And I think it's still... We've only been working together for, I don't know, a month, 5 weeks, whatever it's been with Devin. So it's a short time, especially with games. It's so trying to build the identity of who we want to be and how we're going to be with the ball, without the ball. We're definitely improving, and you can see that, and we as a collective can see that. But there's still more to go, and that's what we're continuing to work on.
How difficult is it to implement that style of play while a season's ongoing? Because normally you'd have a 5, 6, 7 week preseason to really focus on things. You've been through mid-season coaching changes in the past. What is that like? What are the challenges there?
Yeah, no, of course it's difficult. And, I wasn't here prior to Devin coming in and seeing what it was like before. But from my understanding, the way that they were playing and set up was a lot different to how we currently want to be and who we want to be as a team. So even that kind of adjustment is a further one as a result.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard, but it's part of being professionals. Like, it's part of the job. It's part of what happens. And I think we've adjusted to it well. I think the guys have had a great attitude. They're willing to work and willing to learn. And as a result of that, I think we've seen growth. We've become more competitive in these games. We've been able to pick up some points. And, I think we're improving in a lot of areas. And now I think hopefully it can culminate into putting it all together into like a full 90-minute performance.
Talking about Devin and his style, you've played under a lot of big experienced coaches, Wilmer Cabrera, Bruce Arena, Patrick Vieira, to name a few. What's Devin's style like, and what kind of style of coaching do you respond well to?
Yeah, he's very much wants to be the aggressor, wants to be proactive and not reactive, and wants to be aggressive in your face, kind of dictating the game, controlling the game, putting the opposition under pressure, both with the ball and without the ball. And so he wants to go and take what's ours. And I like playing in that way. I like playing in a proactive style. I like being that, we're the ones that want to try to make the game and make things happen and try to go and win games. So yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. What's he like as a man manager?
He's great person. I think he was very relatable to a lot of guys. He has a lot of experiences in a lot of different places around the world even, and a lot of different levels. And so I think it makes him very relatable to kind of what we're all kind of have gone through, and he kind of understands it a little bit. And no, he holds us accountable, but he also treats us with respect, and I think that's all you can ask at the end of the day.
Yeah. Let's talk about your individual performances a little bit. Obviously, you're kind of coming in. You haven't played games previous to this year, so you're finding your legs, you're finding your fitness. You've put in 2 90-minute performances over the last 2 games. So how's your body feeling, and how are you feeling about how your performances individually are coming along?
Yeah, body feels good. Happy to be back playing again, so no complaints about anything like that, but it feels good for sure. Feel like I'm growing week by week with respect to the just kind of like fitness and the sharpness type situation, and kind of hopefully this is the week where it kind of gets over the hump and feel at a really high level. But yeah, it's been enjoyable. Performance wise, I think I've done fairly well. There's always room for improvement and things to do better, but hopefully I'm just trying to help the team as much as I can and try to put us in a position to win games. And I think we've kind of done that the last couple of weeks. And, hopefully we could do that at a much higher level kind of moving forward.
Speaking of helping the team, you stepped into the captaincy and won the captain's armband the last 2 games. When you walked into this team, it's a very young locker room. There's not as much veteran presence prior to your arrival. So what did you see from this locker room, and what do you see your role as a current captain and as a veteran in that locker room?
Yeah, I think it is a young locker room, and it's a lot of guys kind of starting their careers and where they're going to go and what do they want to be, and, how's it going to turn out. And so for me, I don't want to come in like a dictator or I know everything I'm talking about and listen to me kind of thing. But for me, I'm kind of more like my actions speak louder than my words. And so I try to take everything as professional as possible and to be an example to the guys, show up every day on time early, ready to work, stay late, take care of the body, things like that. On the pitch, being prepared to train and play every day and being focused and locked in, and hopefully being kind of an example and a reference point is kind of the way I see it. Of course, there's, moments and times to speak up and to address things and to say things, but I didn't come in here. I came in here to learn from everybody else as well. Like, I haven't been a part of this culture and this team. There's a lot for me to learn as well.
Is that how you describe yourself as a leader, more of like a lead by example rather than like a more rah-rah type of verbal leader?
Yeah, I probably a little bit lean more towards that. But no, I'm not like, I won't shy away or feel afraid to speak if I feel it's necessary. I'm probably not someone that like speaks just to speak and wants to hear my own voice, but yeah, I would say I'm unafraid of when something needs to be addressed or brought up to do that.
Yeah, I think fans can see that in your body language, especially like your first couple of games when you're subbing in off the bench, trying to provide a bit of a spark. You can see, like, you came into the New Mexico game, for example, away, and like your body language was very demanding. And I think you can see that style in the way that you carry yourself on the field. So I don't know if that feels the same way to you, or what you were trying to do, or if that's just you just being like, nah, I want to win the game. So
want to win the game for sure. Yeah. A little bit emotional too. I'm a little bit of an emotional player, so maybe you see that a little bit. But yeah. No, I came here to win games. That was the biggest thing that I wanted to continue with my career, is to go compete and to go win games.
Yeah. Well, winning games, here we are again. It feels like it's every week is a must-win territory. The farther it goes, the more and more that becomes a really true statement. Only 2 of the games left are at home, so how important is a win against Miami this Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly the 2 home games. I mean, everything's kind of a must win at this point, but particularly your home games. So yeah, this is a massive game for us. Like really need to just put everything on the line to try to get 3 points. And, you know, however it looks at the end of the game, it looks, but the result is a very important one for us. We don't really have the luxury of time earlier in the season of, you know, we want to perform and continue to put in good performances and improve our performances, and then eventually results will come, whether it's in that moment or not in that moment. We're kind of in a period now where, we're looking to perform and improve our performances, but at the same time we're doing that, we have to pick up points at the same time.
Yeah. I want to ask you about a couple individual players. I mean, Giorgio Probo made his debut. I know he's been in training for a little while. What do you see from him as a player that's playing with you in that midfield?
Composed, intelligent. He's a smart soccer player. He's composed. He's a good passer of the ball. He sees forward passes. So I think he's going to help the team a lot. He made his debut last week and he made an instant impact. He created at least one chance, maybe a couple of chances, but, you know, he was good on the ball. I think that we haven't played much together, obviously, and we'll see moving forward how everything gets configured, but he's another player that I believe is going to help us.
Yeah, and I think a lot of young players ahead of you in the attack, and the likes of Knight Pickering, Coleman Gannon, even Johnny Rodriguez is a fairly young striker in this league. What do you see from just that group of attackers?
Yeah, I think the first thing is their attitude and mentality is top. They want to work, they want to learn, they want to get better, and they want to improve. And I think if you have that, you have the base of what you need. That's kind of the bare minimum. And then from there, you know, they are young and they are learning, and you could see growth, particularly in my opinion, in Coleman. When I got here until now, you see that he's making big plays in games for us. Even just in the last couple of weeks, he's making plays that win us games. Johnny's stepping up with the penalty the other week. Knight's learning and he's growing, and he could play a couple of different positions. So yeah, it's a good group, and we need to keep kind of pushing them and improving them, and they need to kind of continue to perform and try to make the difference in games. So that's what we need to give the encouragement to go and potentially make mistakes, but in doing so, trying to go and win games for us.
Last question about tactics and the team. You know, as you look ahead, let's say the team gets 3 points against Miami on Saturday. What are like the one or two things that you would say would have gone successfully should you walk away with 3 points?
I think it will be two things. I think it will be our attitude, our desire to win, our like willingness to work for each other, like that collectiveness. I think that we're not going to compete in games if we don't have that, and I think we've had that for the most part since I've gotten here. But that willingness to work more than the other team and want more than the other team, and then I think the other side of it is being a little bit more organized and a little bit more collectively on the same page in terms of like how do we want to play with and without the ball. So I think those are the kind of the two pieces, and then we have enough talent, we have enough ability. If we put that together, we can potentially win the game.
Yep. Okay, there you go. So we'll see you guys here on Saturday for that. Let's move on to talking about your journey, and this should be fun because you've got a lot of stops.
Yeah.
So let's rewind all the way to growing up on the New York, New Jersey border. What was it like growing up outside of soccer?
It was good. Soccer was a big part of my life growing up, so it's a lot of time spent, you know, with commitments with teams, but even just at home playing with my brothers and sisters, playing with some of my friends. You know, I was fortunate enough to have a wonderful childhood from my parents. They sacrificed everything for me and my siblings, and so yeah, I feel very fortunate.
Did your siblings also play?
They did, yeah. They both played in college.
Okay, where at?
My brother went to UNH first, and then he went to Monmouth, and then my sister played at Westchester University, which is in Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Are you the oldest, the youngest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were bullying them growing up on the field a bit.
A little bit. A little bit, but no, not too much, but a little bit.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. I mean, this is like, you know, New York, New Jersey in the late 90s and early 2000s. You're growing up and you're playing like, you played high school soccer at Don Bosco Prep. I feel like that's a player with your resume in MLS is like having played high school soccer is a dying breed.
Yeah, it's we were pretty much I was like almost the end of that, like my age group. It was like my senior year was when like the academy league came in. It's like the first iteration of it, which eventually then like a few years down the line, you couldn't play academy and high school soccer. So like I was there for the inception of like what it is now. But yeah, they didn't mandate it quite at that point.
What do you remember? You played high school soccer at Don Bosco Prep in Ramsey, New Jersey. What was high school soccer like?
Honestly, it was fun.
This was like 05, 06, 07. Yeah.
It was fun. It was we had a good team. I went to a high school that was a sports first, not strictly sports first, but sports was a very important piece of the school's identity. So the soccer team was good. Came from people from 2 different states, you know, like 4 or 5 different counties. So it was a big like area that it pulled from. And so we had a very competitive team, which is why I went there. I wanted to make sure that I was still playing at a high level in high school soccer as well. Yeah. And so it was a lot of fun. Like met a couple of my best friends to life still to this day. And enjoyed it. It's fun. Playing soccer with your friends is fun. And you know what I mean? That's what high school soccer was about.
Yeah, I think you guys Did you win? Did you have
We were good, but we didn't win enough. We should have won more. I don't know. I can't remember back what we won. We won like maybe a couple of counties state titles, and we didn't win states. We were better than that. We should have, but we were competing. But we should have done better than what we ended up doing.
I mean, we have a couple other players in the roster that played high school soccer that have kind of filtered out of the academy system, and so they made their way through high school soccer. Johnny comes to mind as someone that played high school soccer. I played high school soccer, and I think it's just such a fun experience that obviously there's a ton of positives to the academy system and all of that kind of stuff, but some of those lifelong friends that you have having made through high school soccer, it's just a different experience that I do think some of the kids are missing out on a little bit. Not really at the expense of development. The development is obviously better in the academies, but you do miss out on a little bit of that life experience.
I agree with you. And just like, you know, you're representing a school, you're representing traditionally like where you grew up and where you came from, like kind of having that piece of it as well. Like it means a little bit more than just yourself individually. You're part of a group, you're part of a community.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a favorite memory from high school soccer? Anything that stands out, like a playoff run or an away trip or something like that?
You know, my favorite memories, I can't
share on the pod. That's fair.
It was more off the field. It's funny. It like looking back on it now, probably at the moment, you know, and shortly after high school, it was probably like, oh, when I scored that goal or we won that game or something like that. But now looking back on it, you know, this is 15 plus years now. Yeah. No, it's the moments of like with my friends off the field stuff, like stuff we did on the weekends, stuff we did at school, like with the guys on the team. And it's funny how like that's what you really sticks in mind, like 10, 15, 20 years down the line. It's less so the games and that stuff, but actually just like the experience and moments together. Yeah.
At the same time, you were playing for FC Westchester, your club soccer. What was Westchester like playing club soccer there?
Yeah, it was great. I went there at 12 years old, so kind of right when I made the commitment to like commit. I grew up playing a few different sports, and then kind of like at that 12, 13 years, it was kind of like, okay, what do you want to do and focus on? And it was soccer easily for me.
What do you think about that? There's a little bit of a debate about like the multi-sport, growing up as a multi-sport athlete as a kid and potentially kids like specializing too early. I don't know. Do you have an opinion on that?
I do. It's probably not like it's one more founded in my own experience than like, you know, research and what people are saying about it. In my experience, I thought it was very beneficial to play a couple of different sports. I think I became a little bit more well-rounded of an athlete, and like you got better hand-eye coordination, movement of my body in different ways that in different sports that like helped with my balance and things like that. And so I'm very happy that I did that. And then I felt like I said, I committed to soccer at like 12, 13, like basically strictly. And I felt like that was also kind of a good time to start focusing on one sport. So
what other sports were you playing?
I was playing, I played baseball. I played ice hockey and roller hockey. And I played an Irish sport as Irish football, Gaelic football.
Oh, cool.
So those are what I played.
If you hadn't committed to soccer full time, which of those sports would you have been best at?
best at. I probably would have been best at Gaelic football, but there's like, you know, that's not a path to college and like
Describe
whatever.
Gaelic football for anyone that's not familiar. Like, what's the difference between?
It's kind of similar to soccer. It's a little bit more players on the field. I forget the numbers, but it's similar to soccer and how it's set up, and with a ball that's similar to a soccer ball, but you can use your hands. So you can catch with the ball, you can like run with it, and you can pass with your hands, but you can also use your feet. The ball can go on the ground. You could dribble like soccer, or you can punt it, and it's a goal with a field goal on top of it. So you can kick it through the uprights as 1 point, and if you put it in the goal, it's 3 points, I believe.
Okay. Sounds like more similar to Australian rules football.
Yeah.
Which it seems pretty cool. I think I've only seen it like, you know, the Normal People show. It was on Hulu.
No.
As in a show in Irish, but they have some Gaelic football scenes in there. I think that's my only familiarity with that. So do you still skate? Can you skate?
I bet you I could still skate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably like riding a bike, but the last time I skated was in college.
Yeah.
Back in college was the last time I got on skates.
That's amazing. So anyways, we're on a tangent now, but you commit to soccer at 12 years old and then on to Westchester. And then that's when you really start like developing as a soccer player.
Yeah, that was, I grew up in like the local club Clarkstown, but prior to that, which was like a perfect experience. My father and my mother actually played for that club back in the day, and it was great. But then I was with a group of people that played a bunch of different sports, and soccer wasn't going to be like the main and only thing. And so FC Westchester was kind of like the next step up, and they kind of almost basically required you only play soccer. At least soccer was first.
Yeah.
And I went from a community where I grew up with a lot of Irish Americans to move into Westchester. It was with a very Latin community. So my coaches were Latin. The majority of the team was Latin American. And so to go and get coached in a different culture, play with guys that had a different style of play, it was very beneficial for me to get this experience with these people in a different way, to see and play soccer. And so it really helped me grow a lot. Great people I met, still some of my friends to this day. And yeah, but it was a big piece of where I am at today is the coaches and the players I was with.
Did you pick up any Spanish at that time?
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of like, I've never became fluent. I can speak on the fields, particularly like, you know, phrases or words that are commonly used. And, you know, I can get points across and I can kind of understand just the conversations, but that's the extent of it.
Yeah. I think especially with your career and the teams that you've been on, it's really unavoidable. Like there's always so many guys that only speak Spanish that have been recruited in from South America, Central America in a locker room. And so you always end up with like a little like Spanish contingent of players on pretty much any roster in MLS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially around the time that you were going through. So it was always just FC Westchester. There was never any other clubs. That was the only youth club you played for, essentially, all the way through.
12 years old, So, yep.
And pretty successful. You guys won a couple Eastern New York State Cups.
Yeah,
That's
we
when
did.
State Cup was still a really
thing.
big deal.
Yeah.
Like that was
I think
the
we
pinnacle.
Won 4 or 5 in 6 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were good. We were very competitive. Yeah, we're the best in New York at that time. In New York and New York City for all those years.
Were you, because once you won State Cup, then you go to regionals and then nationals. Did you guys ever like?
We never made it
through?
We only made it to regionals, and then that was the extent of what we did. So I wish we had won at least one of those and gotten to a nationals. Would have been cool.
Yeah.
But we were competitive in regionals, but we were probably not quite we weren't quite deep enough. So once we kind of got to that tournament, I think we struggled a little bit in the sense that like we had the quality through the first X number of guys, whatever it was, but you know, the quality dropped a little bit on the back end. I
think I kind of miss the like meritocracy of what youth soccer was at that time, where like all you just had to do was win State Cup, and then you could be from like a little tiny club, and as long as you just got a good group of guys together and one good team in one age group, you could kind of make it all the way to nationals, which isn't really how youth soccer is set up anymore. But it just like, I think I kind of missed that a little bit in the youth soccer setup, that ability to just have a magical team and kind of go on a run and then get a lot of national attention from it.
Well, I just think even like obviously we played in our leagues, but then that was a cup competition.
Yeah.
If you look, like, I didn't really consider it at the time or really even recognize it, but that was a knockout cup competition where you played knockout rounds to go win a trophy. And so, I don't know, for me, it was a beneficial experience of like going and winning games and learning how to win and see things out. And that type of experience.
I think I found that you attended a U18 U.S. national team camp at this time. Were you like in and around the youth national team picture? How was that working at the time?
Really. I was, I got called into like a couple of the like regional training camps or whatever. So no, I know I was kind of like on the outside looking in, and it was very frustrating for me because I felt like I was good enough and just was not whatever. People didn't rate me, which is like fine. I did get called into like it was like a super camp. They brought in like 72 players that were like under 18s. They brought in like basically like 4 teams worth for like a week-long camp, and they put us into 4 teams, and we like trained with our team and then played the other 3 teams kind of thing. So I got called into that, which was a really cool experience, and I was happy that I got that opportunity. But that was the closest I ever got. I wasn't really ever that close, to be quite frank.
So you're going through club soccer and playing high school soccer as well. You end up, spoiler alert, at Brown University for a 4-year college career. How did that college recruiting process go? Was it always like, I'm going to go play college and then we're going to go from there?
Yeah, pretty much. My goal was to play professional soccer. My mother was a teacher. Both my parents were fortunately college graduates. And so like graduating college was a lot more important than going and playing pro soccer, even though they both played soccer themselves. So I didn't know if I was quite that good enough, but 2, I didn't really pursue like coming out of high school trying to play professional soccer. Like at the time, what it probably would have been going to Ireland, which was like, the league was kind of semi-professional at the time. So it's not like a great situation compared to getting a potentially free education. So it was college and education was very important, but in saying that, I was going and trying to picking a school that like was going to make me a professional at the end of the day. That's what I wanted to be, and that route is generally through the MLS Super Draft. So it came down to a couple of schools. Basically, my last 2 schools was St. John's in New York and Brown. St. John's because they were a very good soccer school. They put a lot of guys professionally. They were in the Big East, which is a big conference at the time. And then Brown was, I loved it. I loved my trip there, the experience of it. It was hard to say no to an Ivy League degree at the end of the day. Like if things didn't go wrong, like I could always go back on that. Plus every year, they were competitive and they were a top 25 school, even though it was Ivy League. And 2, every year the coach put 1 player into the combine. So at least 1 player of the best player at each grade over like the last 15 years when the coach was there had the opportunity at the next level. So
proven track record.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up going there. Love the coaching staff.
Yeah. The background on the, like you referencing Ireland, people might not know, is your paternal grandfather is Irish. What's the family connection to Ireland? My paternal
grandparents. So my dad's mother and father are both Irish. And so, I qualified for citizenship, got it at like, I don't know, 14 or 16 or whatever when we went through the process. So dual citizen.
Were they living in Ireland or were they living in the U.S.?
No, they came into New York. They moved to New York when they were like teenagers, and then ended up meeting, and then ended up having my father and so on. And so they moved to New York like basically like teenage years.
Cool. Have you been over to Ireland with them? We're going to go on an Irish tangent here, but I'm curious.
I honestly haven't, unfortunately, been to see my family. My family's all in the West. I had the opportunity a long time ago now to go train in Ireland back when I was like a freshman, sophomore in college. And so I stayed with family friends outside of Dublin and like was there for a month. But no, unfortunately, I haven't been out to, the rest of my family out west.
Okay, maybe a post-career adventure for you there.
Oh, it's absolutely somewhere I need to be and go see for sure.
That's awesome. So fast forward to Brown University, you get there for your freshman year. This is 2009. You stepped straight into the team, played 18 games, 16 starts, 5 goals. They were all game winners according to the Brown website. So this is the like oldest year on the Brown University Athletics website that they have men's soccer.
Oh, they don't have anything beyond it?
Yeah, I think there's like a few things for 2008, but like your freshman year is the first year. So I was glad to see that because I could pull up all the stats.
That's funny.
What was it like walking into your freshman year at Brown, that first preseason?
Yeah, it was a great experience. shoot, we had to run 3 miles in 18 minutes was our fitness test. And like it wasn't mandatory at that point to make it, but like you were kind of expected to. And especially like if you were a freshman that wanted to play, like, you know, this was going to be a big knock on you if you weren't able to make it. And I'm not a great distance runner. And so it was like, it was tough work trying to get fit for it. But I was like, just had the mentality of like, I need to go start my freshman year, go get a Generation Adidas contract right out of school. Like, and so it was hard work. It was, we got challenged a lot mentally and physically, which I really needed. I think I had the mental toughness and the physical resilience and toughness inside of me, and I would show it at times. And that's kind of the character that I got from my parents. But I needed somebody to like really pull it out of me 100% of the time, and that's what I got out of Brown and Mike Noonan. He challenged us. Every day was hard. It was mentally hard, but it made us and myself a much better group, a much more resilient group. And so it was fun. There's a lot of great upperclassmen, like really good people, really good leaders. I think he kind of tended to recruit good people first and leaders. And then the soccer was kind of the second side of it. And so I was surrounded by a lot of really good people, hardworking, and people that just like loved to play soccer. You know, there was no scholarships in the Ivy League. So it wasn't like, you know, people were playing because they loved it. So it was enjoyable.
Yeah, so your first 2 years go really well. I didn't realize Mike Noonan was the coach. I missed that in the research. I remember now him being at Brown first and then going. So
yeah, we will get into it, I'm sure, in a bit. But he was my coach my freshman year, and then he ended up leaving after my freshman year. But we could talk about that when we go to Clemson. So Mike
Noonan then goes to Clemson. You end up with Clemson as a graduate. But so who replaces Mike Noonan going into your sophomore year, and how does that change things?
Yeah, it was he was the assistant this season prior. He just got the job as an assistant my freshman year, Pat Laughlin, who then just continued to take over the program to try to continue moving it forward. It changed. Mike Noonan was a big piece of why I went to Brown. A big piece of it was to go play for him, and so I was very upset when he left. I had the conversation with him when he left about potentially following him to Clemson. I'm grateful that he kind of told me, no, don't do it. Like, you're going to make a mistake doing that, like leaving at that moment in time.
Why?
I think because the team at that point wasn't in a great spot, Clemson, and I was giving up, a great soccer situation, but also an Ivy League degree situation. And so I think he recognized that, you know, even though I could have helped him earlier, he kind of looked out for my best interest and was like, nah, as much as I love you, don't. I'm telling you, the best thing is to stay. So it changed.
I think the best college coaches do that.
That's a good person. You know, he wasn't selfish, and he looked out for like his own players' best interest and not his own best interest. But it changed at Brown. With the new coach, it was different. The players, it became a lot more like led by the players in the group, and it kind of brought us together a lot, where there was a lot of our responsibility of driving the program. But we were, you know, fortunately still successful while I was there.
Yeah, you had a big injury junior year. I can't really find what the injury was, though. You only played in 4 games, and then this is where you took a red shirt. And, saved a year of eligibility. But what happened in that junior year?
Medical redshirted. We don't have to talk about what it is if it's not online.
Fair enough. We don't need to put it out there. But you get that eligibility back.
So I played the first 4 games and was feeling really good. Like, that was the best by far I was playing in college soccer at that point in time, like significantly. I think I kind of like fully grew up and matured, plus had like the 2 years of experience prior to it. And like junior year was kind of like the important year, especially out of the Ivy League, to like garner some attention and interest of like, oh, this kid did well, we need to follow him his senior year and see what kind of happens. So like I ended up getting hurt and lost the season from it. And it was like kind of devastating at that point, because I was like, that was like, this was the setup year for what was to come for my future. And kind of was like, shoot, this is going to be tough, like to even make my dream happen anymore, like whatever. But was, you know, it's funny how things work out. I was fortunate enough to get that year back.
Yeah, so then senior year, you kind of bounce back and things go well, and your first team All-Ivy and all of this kind of stuff. You know, through the midst of this, you guys went to the NCAA tourney every single year. Every single year, you won at least one NCAA tournament game. Maybe a little disappointing to never like have that full run all the way to College Cup. Is that like a?
Yeah, I think so. I think if Noonan had stayed with us, we would have.
Yeah.
I think it would have been my junior year. So actually, I probably would have been injured for it. But I think that was like our two best classes in terms of just quality, which would have been seniors and us as juniors, and numbers. It would have been a big piece of the team.
Because they went to the third round that year without you.
Yeah.
They beat Fairfield and St. John's and then lost to St. Mary's.
Yeah, we went to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So also the same thing again. We were like a 10th to 25 team in the country. We just quite lacked like breaking into that top 10. We could compete. And like you said, we made 2 Sweet 16s, we made 2 second rounds. But I think part of it is just like, you know, we had rules in the Ivy League that is way less competitive than other schools. Like our whole spring, we barely got to play any soccer compared to other schools. Our preseason was a week shorter than everybody else's. So it's always going to be difficult. You're not on the same
and
level.
The Ivy League recruiting trail is not exactly the easiest place to recruit to. It really shrinks your possible player pool. You still got to get into Brown.
No, but we were competitive all 4 years. Like I said, we were a top 25 team. We were just not quite. We just weren't quite enough to be like a top 10 team, I would say.
Yeah. So you get that red shirt year. So you're finishing up your senior year. What's the decision-making process of going to Clemson to rejoin Mike Noonan versus trying to turn pro at that point? Or what was the conversations happening at the time?
Yeah. So I graduated early my senior fall semester, that senior first semester. So that was the plan when I went into school. So that ultimately, when my original plan was to get drafted at that point in time, be graduated already, go play professional, and like not have to worry about school again. So I had to do 2 summer schools in order to like make up that one semester, that senior spring semester. So I graduated, and I was kind of considering
with an economics degree, by the way, right?
Correct.
Why economics?
It was like a business economics. It was just kind of broad. I was kind of good at math. I was kind of good at problem solving. It just kind of made the most sense of like, it's broad. You could do a lot of things with it. I wasn't really intrigued with like, you know, I don't know, philosophy or medicine or something like that.
Okay, go on.
So graduated, and then it was kind of figuring out like, what am I going to do next? Like I wanted to go potentially turn pro, but MLS wouldn't let me go be a part of the combine and the super draft because I didn't use all 4 years of eligibility. Even though I went through 4 years of college and I was a senior, I was not like even in consideration to be a part of the combine and be a part of the super draft. So then I was like, okay, what do I want to do? There was a couple MLS teams that like were going to invite me into preseason as a trialist. And so I kind of thought about that, like, okay, that's an opportunity, but like, it's not a great one. Like they don't have any vested interest in it. They're kind of just like, you know, they didn't use a draft pick. They didn't whatever. They didn't scout me at the combine.
You could just be a preseason number.
Exactly. So I was like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I was like, it's probably not worth it. I should go back to college and play one more year if I have the eligibility, play at a bigger conference, a bigger school, and kind of go that route. And so then I started seriously considering then like, where am I going to go? There's like three, 4 schools I had spoken to. Clemson at the time was still like in an ascendancy. They still weren't great. Like they hadn't made the NCAA tournament at that point in time. They just was a 500 team that season, my senior year, and they made the ACC finals and lost and didn't make the NCAA tournament. So I was like, oh, I don't know if I should go there or not. And then when I got down on campus and I saw Mike Noonan again, and I saw the guys and I saw everything that was like being built there, and I was like, I believed in the vision of where they were going to go and that they were going to improve, and that I could help kind of be a piece of that, especially as like from a leadership standpoint. And so that it made it very easy once I got down there and saw everything to then commit to it.
Nice. And then it goes well for you. I mean, 7 goals, 8 assists in ACC play. 4 of those goals are game winners. and made the NCAA tournament. You were first team All ACC, all the honors, all the things. Like it seems to have just gone to plan.
Yeah, honestly, it couldn't have gotten any better.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate about that. But yeah, it went like, if I could have wrote up how that season would have went, from an individual basis, and even as from a team basis, it would have went, similar to what it was. So yeah, and what an awesome experience to get like that big Southern school, like frat sororities, football, compared to the Brown in a city, Ivy League.
Yeah.
Very
I know Clemson well. My brother just graduated
Okay.
from Clemson, so I'm familiar with the stadium. That was the same stadium. It's a great stadium right there, right on campus. Get good attendance because you can just walk right off campus, right onto the stadium. Were the facilities good at the time?
They're even better now. I mean,
they're incredible now.
They were very good at the time for what college soccer was then, and they're even better now. Like, it's just crazy. The amount of money that the football generates at these schools that then gets filtered into all the other sports is unbelievable.
Yeah. Do you hold any pride, like, having been part of the first year where Clemson's kind of there as part of the national conversation? Because now Mike Noonan is still the head coach, for those that don't know it, Clemson, and he's built them into a national powerhouse, multi-time national champion at this point. Do you like look at those results and go, nice, it feels good to have been part of one of the first steps of that?
Yeah. No, it is kind of a cool thing to like reflect back on, and who else joined me in it? Bobby Belair, who who is now an assistant GM at Charlotte FC. We went to Brown together with Mike Noonan, same age, and he got injured 2 years. And so he came that fall to Clemson as well to use his eligibility. So kind of the both of us, one of my best friends, like the group was there, like they were already moving in the right direction. And I felt like we kind of brought the like experience of leadership, the like, how to win, that type of thing, how to be college athletes, kind of brought it to the top of the group. So it's kind of a cool thing that like we feel like we had a little bit of a little small piece of a hand in kind of creating where they are at today. But 99% of that goes to Mike Noonan.
Yeah. We've got another Clemson. We've got Sean Smart here. Yeah. Have you guys talked about Clemson and Mike and all that kind of stuff?
He's a national champion.
Yeah,
Sean's a national champion.
Trust me, he doesn't miss an opportunity to remind you of his national championship. But Sean's hilarious. You were playing some PDL over the summers during like this college as well. Western Mass Pioneers, Worcester Hydra, Jersey Express. Man, this is like the peak PDL days. Which for those that don't know, Premier Development League, it's what USL League 2 is now. It's basically a summer league and mostly college players playing. Do you have any like memories of those 3 summer PDL seasons?
Honestly, they were fun. The one in Worcester, the Western Mass one. The one in Western Mass was a lot of fun. It was like a group of 5 or 6 of us were at Brown at the time, so we stayed there in the summer, and you could only have like a maximum of 5 or 6 guys from a college play for a PDL team. And so it was like an hour and 15-minute commute each way, hour and a half maybe. And so we like the 5 or 6 of us lived there in the summer. It was like other students were around, so it was like a ton of fun. We went up like 2-3 nights a week training, go play the games. They had this great stadium, Lusitano Stadium, which was like a historic stadium in like a very Portuguese community.
Oh, cool.
So it was like an awesome experience. Like we had so much fun, like even just the drives up and back, like looking at night, looking back on it. But it was like it was a historic field to play on. I think it's still around to this day. So that was a really cool one. The Jersey Express one I enjoyed because it was Jeff Mateo was the coach, who was an assistant at St. John's, and he's from the New York area. He had recruited me kind of a couple of times to St. John's, and I ended up not going. So then I eventually got to play with him and got to play with like, the guys in the New York, New Jersey area that were kind of back from college that like, maybe you grew up playing against or in college played against. So like there was a couple of that. So no, those were both cool experiences.
Awesome. Get to the end of Clemson and now you're entering the Super Draft. So finally the plan is coming to fruition. We're entering the 2014 MLS Super Draft. What were you expecting going into the draft?
Yeah, I was, it was a funny one, man. I kind of knew what teams were interested in me a little bit because you kind of get a sense of who wants to interview you at the combine and stuff. And so you get a sense. And So I kind of like knew for myself, I wasn't like necessarily a top 10 pick, top 12. I was kind of in that second tier of players after that. And the teams that were interested in me like had the top 10, 12 picks. So then I kind of knew that I was going to fall after that because the next group weren't that interested in me. Chivas, who was coached by Wilmer Cabrera at the time, expressed to me at the combine in our interview. We had an interview the day before the last day, so there was still one more game left. He was like, yeah, please, making a joke, but he was like, please play bad tomorrow so that like you fall to us at the 20th pick. And I was like, laughing, like, you know, I don't know, Chivas USA, like the year before they said they only wanted Latin American players, only like Mexican players particularly. I was like, although I grew up with Latin players, I'm not Latin.
As far from it.
So we went to the draft with my family, which was an amazing experience. Like it was in Philadelphia, so we drove down the morning of, which was awesome to be a part of it. And like, oh man, like the moment's gonna happen today, hopefully at some point. And then once we got to like the 13th, 14th pick, the Chivas table was right in front of us, and they kept looking over, like giving thumbs up, like, oh, we're gonna get you a 20, like it's coming. And me and my family were like, oh my gosh, is this who's gonna pick us? This is what it's gonna be. And they picked us with the 20th pick, Wilmer, and honestly, it was the best place in the whole league for me to go, which is funny how it worked out that way. But
because on the surface, right, like Chivas folds at the end of the 2014 season to like look ahead. So on the surface, you look at this and go, oh man, I bet Tommy was so bummed to get drafted to Chivas, but you did feel like it was a great spot.
Honestly, it was the best spot for me personally in the whole league because, you know, the team wasn't great. They just brought in a new coach that had worked with a lot of young players. He came from essentially residency background, under 17 national team background. And he really believed in my qualities. And so I had the ability to compete from day one for a starting position, which not many rookies get to have that, especially. So I ended up starting the first 6 games of the season as a rookie. And then unfortunately I did my ACL, but like I don't think I would have gotten that opportunity at other clubs. I think it would have been more like, oh, he's a rookie, we need to bring him along, that kind of thing. But no, Wilmer really believed in me, and he gave me the opportunity to compete for a spot.
You got your first professional goal in those 6 appearances before you did your ACL.
The first game.
Do you remember that well?
What was that? It's kind of hard. It's like a little hazy now, but no, I do remember it.
What was that like scoring your first? Was it a big moment at the time, like where you were like, "Wow, I've made it"? First game, score a goal.
No, I didn't think about it too much like that. I kind of like the "I made it" moment was the drafted moment. Kind of felt like that was like the one big moment, and then it kind of quickly like moved on from that. Like okay, like I'm only on a semi-guaranteed contract. This is professional sports, but scoring the goal in the first game was just like. It was a lot of relief. Like, you know, I was playing as an attacking player at the time, and to like go and like I started the game, scored in the first game. I think we ended up tying. I forget what happened. Maybe we won. But like to have an impact, kind of just like prove to myself and kind of showed everybody else like, oh no, I deserve to be playing. Like I didn't just get handed this opportunity without deserving it.
Tell me the injury story if you're willing. Like what happened and what was the emotional state like when that, because everything's kind of flying high right there, and then you tear your ACL, which is like just such a nightmare.
It's funny. It was so I did it the 6th game of the season. So I started the first 5 games, and I played pretty well in all those games, but I wasn't like, I still didn't feel like I was like at the level of everybody else or at the level I could be. Like I didn't know what it was, if I was like deferring a little bit or like still trying to adjust to like what the level was and that stuff. And so then that 6th game, I remember like that week leading into it, it was like, okay, like I need to step up one more level. Like I have the ability to do so. And I felt like it was by far, the game was up in Portland. I felt like it was by far the best game I was playing, and like was like, okay, now I'm not just like on the fields, you know, kind of getting by and doing well. Like I felt like I was one of the better players on the field at this point in time.
Playing in front of a great crowd in Portland, by the way.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then I was dribbling like at midfield, and I cut the ball behind my legs, and then I went to plant after that on my right foot, and then just like I just collapsed, and I felt and heard the pop. I felt the crinkling in my knee, and like never experienced it before, but like knew this is wrong. And so I just like stayed down there and knew like this is wrong. This is not, it wasn't a ton of pain, but it was just so scary because you feel and hear all of it and you just know like this isn't good. And so I got stretchered off the fields, got taken to get checked, and they're like, yeah, we think it's an ACL. And then obviously eventually got the MRI and everything. So it was pretty devastating that it happened like that, but that's life.
Yeah, how was like how long did it take before you kind of like came out of the malaise of, because you get injured like that and you feel bad for yourself for a little while, and it takes a little while to come out of it and then just start attacking the rehab after the surgery. But like, what was those first couple of weeks like dealing with that emotional onslaught of an injury? It
was hard. It was hard too because I was out in LA on my own, and so kind of like to go from one season-ending injury for like 2-3 years ago where I kind of thought my career was ending to like very shortly, like just started my career and having that type of injury. It was hard to deal with it on my own. I had a couple of friends out there that were good friends, but you know, I didn't have people that I was super close with. Thankfully, my mom came out like right before I got surgery to help me with surgery, and that helped a lot. That made the biggest difference. She did so much for me. Like there was a lot of off-field things that needed to be handled at that moment in time too, which was bad timing. And she did a lot, and like being there, she stayed like an extra, like she was only going to come for like 5 days or a week or something, and I was still like really struggling after the first week of surgery, so she stayed an extra week. So that was kind of like the big pick me up moment and like where things like shifted.
Nice. You could, I mean, if you haven't been around someone that's had to have an ACL surgery, like that first month is rough. Like you can't go anywhere. You're just like working on getting like your knee to bend again. And so it's really hard to get things done around the house. It's hard to change, it's hard to like everything.
I still didn't even have a place to live. I was just staying like at a friend. So like she went and thank God like looked at places for me because I had to leave. I had to leave this place like right when the injury happened. And then she went and bought all my furniture for me and had it shipped. So yeah, she did everything. Yeah,
that's amazing. So you're attacking your rehab over the rest of the course of the season. Obviously the team folds at the end of the year. When do you guys start getting rumblings that this is going to happen, and how did it all go down as the fall progressed? Yeah,
that was a crazy one. So I think, if I remember correctly, I think like come mid-late summer, it started getting some rumblings of like what's going to happen here. Because the league bought the team back in like February from the Chivas owners. So the league then owned us for that season. But obviously that's not the long-term plan. The plan was, you know, hopefully to sell the franchise, bring new owners in and kind of keep it going. But since nobody had bought the team by like mid-late summer, like it was kind of like, well, time's running out here. So then there was rumblings of like, what's going to happen? They're going to fold. We didn't officially get told it folded until the day after our last game. So we got called in to a meeting the day after our last game, and we got told by someone from MLS and our president at the time, like, this is what's happening and there's going to be a draft for you guys, like good luck, like all right, like cool. So yeah, that's when we got officially notified.
It's crazy to think that was only 2 years ago, especially when you look at like where Major League Soccer is right now and how much it's progressed over the last decade. It's crazy to think that the league owned one of the teams during the 2014 season. That was not that long ago. And you've been in the league, you know, over that time and seen it progress from commercial flights to charter flights and all of that kind of stuff. So it's crazy to think about. Then you go through the most like MLS off season possible. I think you've gone through like every mechanism that MLS has that have all these weird names. So you got drafted in the super draft.
In January.
Did
my ACL in April. April, May.
Spent the whole time. They fold. They have a dispersal draft, which is basically just like everyone in the league gets an opportunity to pick a Chivas player.
Yeah, if they want to. They don't have to.
And most people pass. Obligation. I think only like 5 or 6 of you got picked up. I think
it was like, 5 of us or something.
So DC pick you up. That's on November 19th.
Yep.
So then I assume you go to DC I think I saw that you went to DC for a couple of days, met Ben Olsen, who was the coach at the time.
Yeah. So I was in Jersey at the time because it was the off season, in New York at the time, and then doing rehab in Jersey. And so when they took me, they asked me to come down so I could like, you know, see everybody, meet Ben. They can get a look on my knee and see what the situation is. So yeah, I went down there. Was super excited to go to DC. I thought Ben Olsen would have been like a very good coach for me. I thought it was a very good like group of players that I would have fit into like very well, the culture of the team and how they wanted to play. So I was actually like really excited about that. Being back on the East Coast and closer to home was nice.
Yeah.
And then I got in there and basically sat down with Ben and the GM, and they were great. And they were just like, yeah, so like this is going to be a trial for you this preseason, like because you're on a semi-guaranteed contract. And I was like, oh, okay, like thinking like, oh, I'm on the team, like this is great. And like I appreciate their honesty, to be quite frank, rather than like string me along and not let me know what the situation was. So yeah, that's where that left at.
Yeah. And then Orlando City and New York City FC are coming in as expansion teams in the same year that next season in 2015. So they have an expansion draft, which is they have to go back and forth, and they basically get to pick players from other rosters, and everyone else in MLS has to have a protected list. They have a couple people that are guaranteed to be protected, whatever. Long story short, you're on the unprotected list. So are you aware going into the expansion draft, like, oh, I'm unprotected, like one of these teams might take me?
I knew I was unprotected at DC.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that either of the two teams was going to take me, because they could have taken me in the dispersal draft like 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
So I thought that like, I knew New York was a little bit interested in me prior to the dispersal draft, New York City FC, because we had a conversation. And so I thought and was hoping they would take me in that draft, and they didn't. They chose somebody else over me, which is like, that's fine. That's their right.
Yeah.
Orlando never really expressed interest in me, which again is fine. So I kind of was just like, okay, I don't expect to get drafted here. I actually was in rehab during the draft, which was just like on Twitter or whatever, like to the old school. And I was like just finished my rehab session, and I logged in to see what was going on with it, and it was like the 5th or 6th pick of the round or whatever, and I got picked within like 2 picks, like while I was just on the treatment table. Like, oh, okay, I guess I'm staying here in New York.
Yeah, so they pick you at the 8th pick, and so very, very brief stint in DC. And so then you're with NYCFC, who obviously you arrive at a club that have big ambitions. They're owned by City Football Group, own Manchester City and big clubs around the world. So I guess you arrive at that preseason, or what's the first conversation with someone from New York City that you have after you find out you're drafted on Twitter on the treatment table?
No, they called me obviously like immediately after the draft or whatever, spoke. I then came in and met the medical team like immediately, so they could get a look at my knee, where are we at, assess the situation. And then like, met with everybody the first day of preseason. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, so once we get to preseason, like, are you back training full or not quite?
No, I was, I definitely started the preseason on the side, but like on the field, but on the side. And then kind of by the middle of preseason, I started transitioning into the group. And then basically by the end of preseason, I was like fully back with the group.
Okay, got you. And then it takes a little while. Obviously, you're coming off an injury and it's an expansion group. And it takes a little while for you to break into that 18 and get your first start. But then in your first start, you get your first goal. So it's becoming a trend in your career at that point. It's away at Philly, down 1-0, and you score what's kind of become your trademark at this point. It's like this like curling upper 90 goal from outside the box. It equalizes, and you guys turn it into a 2-1 win. It's the first road win in NYCFC history. It becomes like a big thing, and you sort of announce your arrival at NYCFC at that time. What do you remember about that first start for NYCFC and breaking into the team at that time?
Yeah, I was I do remember it. I was very frustrated not to be playing prior to that.
I'm sure.
Because I felt like I had been doing well at the tail end of preseason when I fully came back. I thought I showed a couple of things. And then, to be honest, the team was really struggling up until that game. I think we were on 11 games where we hadn't won. And I was just kind of like sat, in the bench or on the stands, like, when am I going to get a chance here? I'm training really well, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, like, finally got the opportunity. It was me and another player who was kind of in a similar boat, Poku. Yeah. And we both got the start in that game. And then, I was just like, in my head, I have to make a difference in this game. Like, I knew because I hadn't been playing, I wasn't going to be like quite as sharp as like if you were playing week in, week out 90s. So it was like, I needed to like manage myself through this game, but I need to make an impact in it. And, was fortunate enough to do so.
Yeah. let's use this opportunity to talk about that. I mean, it's become like the thing that people know you for is like these goals for New York City specifically. You've scored multiple goals from outside the box in big moments. Is that something that's always been part of your game, like from the youth days at Westchester and Brown? Did you score a lot of goals like this previously?
Not quite to this extent and like quality, but like, yeah, I was more of a goal scoring midfielder, like growing up through high school, even into college a little bit, and could shoot relatively well from outside the box. But for whatever reason, like, I don't know what it was. It was like right in that moment when I got to New York that my shot kind of changed, and that trajectory of hitting a ball became like very like smooth in like my muscle memory. I don't have like any reason why, but yeah. It was something that was kind of like always there, but for whatever reason, like at that point in time, then it like really became second nature.
Yeah, it just unlocked at the time. And now it's, I mean, Woody Wilder is my former PR manager, and he overlapped with you for a year at New York City FC, and I texted him that we had acquired you, and he just texted me back like, bangers incoming. Like, it's just what you're known for at this point, which is interesting, and how your career develops in that way. That first season for NYCFC does not go well. Missed playoffs. Jason Kreis is let go at the end of the season. As you're going into that off season, were you on an option? Were you like, am I still going to be here? There's a big rebuild that off season. NYCFC sort of kind of scrapped the whole project and start anew for that second season. So
no, I was on an option. I wasn't, to be honest, that worried because I was American and was on a very cheap contract, to be quite frank. And
it's very valuable in MLS.
Like, especially at that point in time, and was still younger. So like there was still the, the potential. And I think I played half the season that year and I had a few goals and a few assists, whatever it was. So like, I thought I'd done enough, like when you consider the circumstances, to like continue being there. Or if it wasn't there, it was going to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I wasn't overly worried. It was just kind of like, well, what's going to be new now? And the big change was Patrick Vieira, which was like a drastic difference from Jason Kreis to Patrick Vieira.
What was the difference in management style once Patrick came in?
Yeah, it was, well, the style of play was a lot different. And even just the experiences, like Jason Kreis was very MLS experienced. He played in the career, was a very good player. He was successful as a coach. And now Patrick's coming into an environment where he's never played in America. He never coached in America. He never he coached a first team before. He was with the city's like development team, which is like their under 21s basically. So it was a lot different in that regard of like, okay, I have to go and prove myself again. He has no idea who I am. What I didn't matter. And it was like, I have to go show him what I'm about and what I'm capable of.
Did you grow up watching Patrick Vieira? Was this someone that was like you were familiar with? Wow, this is a guy I saw on TV as a kid.
Oh, of course.
Now I'm playing for him.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. What was he like on the training field? I think City at this time and your last years here could become really known for being dogmatically possession oriented. I mean, to a fault at times, but when it went well, it was incredible. But like it's like the flip side of like 20 goal sequences building out the back, and then there's also like turning it over on top of your own box, especially in the early days of that project. There were big doubts about whether Patrick could do the job. So
it is funny. That was when he came in, he said, we're going to play out of the back 100% of the time. I don't care. Like, we're not playing long. We're like, it doesn't matter. And so we started that season doing that. And the first game of the season, we was Chicago away. We won 4-3, and it was just like a nuts game. It was just like goal for us, goal for them, goal for us, goal for them. And it was like, okay, well, and he was like, no, this is great. He's like, we're going to score more goals than we concede. And I'm happy with that. Even if we concede goals by playing out of the back, we're going to score more than we're going to concede. Yeah. And so we did that the first like 8 games. And then, we did against the Red Bulls, which was like the 8th game or whatever, and they ended up beating us like 7-0. I remember high pressed field team. That is a famous one, right? Where everyone was like, alarm bells are ringing, like Hudson Ribbon Derby is red, all that kind of stuff, right? So then I think at that point in time, Patrick like realized like, okay, I can't be 100% committed to this with there's no other option. I need to be a little bit more pragmatic here. And so then that's when he changed, and he was like, okay, we want to play out of the back, we want to dominate the ball, and that's how we want to create chances. But if we can't do that, or it's not on to do that, we're gonna have to play longer and move the team up and play for second balls. I think once he made that switch in his mind, I think that's when you saw the club start really like growing and as a team improving a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, over the next 3 seasons is like the Patrick Vieira project, and those are your last 3 seasons with NYCFC. It's second in the East, third in the East, fourth overall, second overall, seventh overall. It was sort of the playoffs that were the bugaboo for the team. It got knocked out in the quarterfinals each way, but like the project really came to fruition under Patrick, and you guys were flying at that time. I mean, they were a really difficult team to play. Let's do the like you played with stars thing. I don't want to spend too much time on it because that's like every interview you've ever done. If you want to know more about Tommy's thoughts about playing with Andrea Pirlo and everyone, then you can look up plenty of interviews about it. But let's do that question. Andrea Pirlo, David Villa, Frank Lampard, to name the big 3. What's it like playing with those 3, and what's it like kind of arriving at that first preseason and it's like, whoa, this is Patrick Vieira and we've got big names here, and how that got balanced in the locker room?
It was cool, obviously. Like these were people I grew up watching on TV on a weekly basis. I kind of always thought if I was going to play with them, it was going to be in Europe at a Champions League club. And very obviously that wasn't the case. And so it was cool to like have this opportunity to play with them in New York, in MLS, at a point in my career where I was a young player in terms of professional soccer. I wasn't that young of a person, but I was a young player in terms of professional soccer. And so to have the experience of being around them was like very beneficial to me, to just see how they operate, how they work, how they took care of themselves, how they treated others. Like they were, they'd done it at the top levels, and they still took care of themselves in a specific way. And so like, okay, this is like, even though I kind of did similar things and kind of knew that of myself, it was just like good to see that like, oh, they definitely do it. And I know this for sure now. So I know I definitely need to be committed.
I think that's the main thing you took away from that experience, was like taking care of your body and doing like all of the like other things the right way and seeing them do that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, there was little things that you took away of like, they had this moment of quality where it's just like, and you like get blown away, or like characteristics. I feel like I picked up a little bit of like each of their games. I picked up a little bit off of it. But I think that's the biggest thing, of just like how they carried themselves. Like that's something that everybody can do. I can't do some of the passes Andrea Pirlo can do. Even if I like knew it, I don't have that quality. But I can take care of myself and be professional like they do. So that's something that's in my control.
You became a cult hero at this time. It's kind of fitting that you debuted at the same time as Kwadwo Poku, who also sort of became like a cult figure in MLS. I'm curious what you think of that, like just in general. It's a weird thing, right? But it was very MLS at the time. It was very like mid-teens MLS, like weird, edgy
American soccer, like
it's like trying to be edgy in that way. But you're like, now you're kind of towards the end of your career, and you're like really like, oh, the streets will never forget Tommy McNamara kind of player. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on being that type of player, or being remembered in that way.
I don't feel like I will be remembered in that way, but I don't know.
I think you underestimate the power of the MLS sickos. But
No, I mean, it was, when it was all happening, it was it was a funny thing, and it was like you're getting recognized, you're whatever, there's something where people recognize you for doing something. And so like with my family and stuff, it was kind of funny, but no, I don't know if people are going to remember me, to be quite frank.
I don't know about all that, but we'll see. At the end of the day, you scored too many good goals and you played on too big of a team. You were too much of a cult hero to be forgotten. But so your time at New York City FC comes to an end after that third year. So you spent 4 total seasons there. So
correct.
Really like established yourself as a pro at NYCFC. How does that time come to an end? How did it like, cause I don't think you got traded, you were a free agent. So how does it come to an end with NYCFC?
It was a tough one. It was, I really didn't want to leave New York. I loved the club. And I loved being at home and like having my family and friends be able to attend every game and like have that experience with them, especially my parents, because they brought me up in my soccer journey, and like everything they sacrificed was like for this experience that I was having. So I didn't want to leave, and I probably should have left, I mean, you know, potentially on my own terms earlier that season, because I wasn't playing very much. And a new coach came in the middle of the season because Patrick Vieira left to take another job. So we brought in a new coach, and like didn't feature for him, and kind of like, you know, had conversations where he wanted to keep me next year. And so I was like, but not playing currently. So I was like, okay, I got drawn to like, I'll stay at home and fight for my spot another year. Whereas like probably career-wise, soccer-wise, I probably should have left earlier and found an opportunity where I could play again. So yeah, the contract ran out at the end of that season, and then, you know, the club decided they didn't want to keep me anymore. They just wanted to move on, which fair enough, they have every right. Yeah. And so it was a little bit sad because, you know, it meant a lot to me at the time, but I needed it. I needed to move on and get an opportunity to go play and not just be, you know, a filler kind of guy. Yeah. And so, yeah, so it worked out that I got to reconnect with Wilmer at Houston. They took me in the re-entry draft. And
yet another draft mechanism you've been acquired then.
Yeah. And I played 39 out of 40 games that season or something like that. It was like in all competitions. So like I went from not playing at all, basically my last year in New York, to playing literally the most of anybody in Houston. So like I really needed that. I was at like 28, 29 at the time. So like I needed that like jump back of like, oh, he still plays in MLS. He can still do well. That type of thing. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was to that point, the most appearances you've made in a single season. Once you went to Houston, this is 2019 under Wilmer. Were there any conversations ahead of that reentry draft where like Wilmer called you and was like, oh, like I'm excited to reunite?
We didn't speak beforehand. It was just all done via my agent and basically the general manager, who actually is a Clemson alum, Matt Jordan at the time. So like I obviously knew that they were interested. I knew Wilmer really appreciated me. And so no, I don't think we talked until like actually I got officially drafted, that type of thing. We did it all professionally, like via.
Yeah, for sure. And so then you play that year under Wilmer. Unfortunately, Wilmer gets let go in August. Davey Arnaud takes over. And then as you go to the next season, you are still under contract with Houston. You start that year, and then the pandemic hits. So talk me through that period of time once the pandemic hits, and you're like, what happened in Houston at that time?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously crazy, like everybody else in the world dealing with the pandemic. Being in Texas, it was a lot more open than particularly the Northeast. So like talking to my friends and family, what their experience was a lot different than mine. You know, restaurants were kind of still open. You could walk around, you could do stuff. You could go out to like the beach and stuff. There wasn't as many restrictions. And because of that, we were able to get back to training a lot earlier than the rest of the teams in the country. So once everything, obviously the league shut down, we didn't know what was going on. The players in the league still needed to renegotiate a new CBA. We didn't know what was going to happen with that. It was a whole big whatever. But, you know, eventually we got everything sorted so that we were going to return to play for Disney and what the return to play was going to look like. And so actually it was hard, but it was kind of nice to have the structure of we were able to get back to individual training like right away because of being in Texas. And so we were out on the pitches literally on your own, like in your own little box and just running and trying to play by yourself. But it was nice to like wake up in the morning, see the other guys on the team and like have some sort of structure again in life that like we were missing for a couple months.
So you were with Houston in this MLS is Back tournament.
Correct.
So they do the bubble tournament down in Orlando. I was there. I was running media operations for that whole group stage. So I was suffering alongside you guys. What was that experience like? Everyone that's been in the bubble with MLS has like bubble stories from...
It was very unique. It was very unique. It was, you know, it was like a little bit almost scary at first when like I believe it was Nashville or another team like came in and started getting positive cases and then they started getting quarantined and then the whole team was just quarantined. And it was just like, shoot, like I don't want to be just stuck in my hotel room for a week and that's it. So it was like scary of like, you know, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to, we were there for like 3 weeks, Houston, because I don't think we made it out of the group, something like that. The first 2 weeks, I actually kind of loved it because like, I don't know, I love playing soccer. Like all we did was like go play soccer.
Yeah.
Everything was taken care of for us. And then we were in a beautiful resort that had a pool or whatever.
It's kind of like summer
So
camp.
like,
It was kind of like when you used to go to those like summer camps
Yeah.
as a kid, the little like week-long residency
yeah.
summer camps.
And like
Yeah.
you have friends on all the other teams that
Yeah.
like you can kind of reconnect with at some point or another, like
Yeah.
during this like time. So like the first 2 weeks I kind of loved it. I was like, I just got to play soccer. Everything's taken care of me.
Yeah.
Then kind of like once that 2 week mark hit, I kind of just got like a little bit sick of it. It was just like stuck in the same hotel room, same routine, can't do anything. It got a little bit old for me then, but
Yeah,
I actually
it
like
became
kind of
such-
loved the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it became such a grind, and then all the
Yeah.
teams that qualified for the playoffs, it was like,
Do we
it was
really want to
this, like,
stay?
Yeah, it was like this mixed thing where like teams would be celebrating that they won, but then the team that lost would be like, well, at least we get to go home.
Yeah.
And it was very mixed at that time, which was very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Straight after that, New England trades for you in
Yeah.
August 2020. So how did that go down?
Yeah, it was Tab Ramos took over the team that season, the Houston team.
Yeah.
And so I played the first 2 games under him, and then the pandemic hit. And when we came back from the pandemic, I played as like a winger kind of, but at this point in time, I kind of saw myself as more as a central midfielder. When we came back from the pandemic and started training with the group and stuff, like how Tab wanted to play and what he wanted out of his player profiles, I didn't really fit anywhere on the field for him. He didn't see like a spot for me, which is that's fine. That's how he wanted to play and whatever. So when we got to the MLS's back tournament, I felt like I was like really fit, trained really well prior to it, like deserved to be playing and starting, and just like wasn't. And so I was like really frustrated, and it wasn't because I was playing good or not good or the team. It was just like, it was just never going to work because I didn't fit what he wanted from that profile.
Yeah.
So,
and that's how it happens sometimes.
Yeah. So I was like looking for another opportunity. I had saw that Carlos Heel, who was New England's attacking midfielder, had gotten injured, who was like their big player. So they were probably like trying to figure out how can we piece this over for the moment. So I thought maybe there might be an opportunity there. Bruce knew me from way back in LA, and then obviously being in the league. And so that connection ended up like making it kind of come as an opportunity. I was out of contract at the end of that season, so it was pretty low risk for New England side. It was like, all right, we can kind of take a flyer on him to see if it'll work, because in 3 months time, if it doesn't work, we could just let him go. So that's how like the opportunity came about in New England.
Do you think those 2 years in 2021 and 2022, because obviously you do well and they pick you up into a contract, you made like 65 appearances, 51 starts, 6 goals, 11 assists. You played a lot of football for New England over those 2 years.
Yeah.
Do you feel like those are the best 2 years of your career? Like that best?
I
Is
think
that the best
so.
2 year stretch?
Yeah.
Like maybe like maybe somewhere in New York City FC, but
I would say that was, and I was playing really well and at a high level. And the 2021 team, we were very good regular season. 2022, we struggled for reasons.
Is 2021 the Supporter Shield champion year? Yeah, I mean you guys were unplayable that year. Matt Turner in goal, and Carlos Seal MVP, and
No, I definitely felt at a really, really like good place, and I was playing in a position that like really suited me. Bruce really understood me as a player, kind of more so. Patrick was probably the only other head coach, Wilmer a bit too, but Patrick and Bruce the most, that really understood me as a player and asked me to do things that were my strength and kind of helped cover my weaknesses. And so like playing in a position in a style of play that really suited me, with really good players around me, with a really good group, like it was very enjoyable.
What are those strengths that you think Bruce is accentuating?
For me, I think it's like using having a soccer mind and understanding the game and where I need to be. So like how I ended up playing there was, we played a lot in a diamond, and I was on the left side of the diamond, and Tejan Buchanan was on the right side of the diamond. And so and we had 2 really good attacking outside backs. So what it allowed me to do is when we had the ball, or even defensively a lot, I just came down as a second number 6 and allowed Tejan, who was like a right-sided diamond, to play as like a right winger, which was his strengths. So it allowed me to kind of just like cover up for everybody and try to fill gaps. And then with the ball, it was kind of just to like, again, find gaps and find spaces to help build the game for the team. So I feel like I did a lot of little things that helped the group, but none of the big things, like the scoring the goals, the saving the goals. But I was able to use my mind to help put myself in positions both with the ball and without the ball to really help the team kind of have a platform to perform.
Yeah, it's a big year from Matt Polster. Is like the played at the base of that diamond. DeJuan Jones was the left back at the time. Just like a career year for him.
Yeah,
that was a great.
Everybody had a career year.
Yeah, that was a great team.
Yeah, and then 2022 we had a lot of injury issues, and I ended up playing a lot of different positions to try to like make up what we were doing, and you know, I gave everything I had, and I performed pretty well in that role, but I was kind of like moved out of my spot a little bit to try to compensate, and then unfortunately kind of culminated with like a long-term injury that kind of changed my narrative at New England. Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask, because it wasn't quite clear what happened, because you signed a 2-year contract extension at the end of 2022, because obviously things are going incredible. It's, you know, 2 + 1, so technically a 3. But then you kind of have 2 down years where you only made 11 appearances. And that's the injury that like struggles that you're referencing there.
So I had Achilles tendinosis in both my Achilles. Basically that January of 2023, which was kind of just an accumulation of just, you know, obviously getting older, minutes, blah, blah, blah.
You played a lot of minutes.
And I think we just didn't handle it well. It's kind of one of those things that's supposed to be a 3-month injury, but it's a very tricky rehab, and I don't think we rehabbed it well, and I was out for 9 months. So it became something that I should only have missed, you know, the first month of the season kind of thing, I missed all the way until August, basically. And at that point in time, like everything with Bruce happened where he ended up having to resign. And right when he walked away and had to resign was right when I came back into the team. And so the team was kind of a mess. And so then I was trying to get fit and play and just wasn't really getting opportunities while everything was trying to deal with it. So that was kind of my 2023, and then 2024 Caleb Porter came in as the coach, and kind of same thing with Tab. Like I didn't fit what he wanted to do. Like it was an unfortunate end, which was like started with the injuries and then a lot of, you know, things that happened that were out of my control, but that's life and that's being a professional athlete.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you probably look back on this time at the Revolution and kind of look at those 2 years of 2021 and 2022 and like with a lot of fondness.
I loved it there. It was, and it was such good people. We had such a good group, particularly in like the first half, but when we were so successful, and then obviously people kind of started to get opportunities because of it. We had such good people around the coaching staff that like it was incredibly enjoyable. That was the most enjoyable that I had in you know, my professional career. Yeah,
and closer to family, right?
That was nice too.
After some years in Houston, like a drivable, right, and all that kind of stuff in New York. So, so 2024 ends. You had an option that they don't pick up, and then you're looking for your solution in 2025, and you don't land anywhere on like an official record until we sign you here this summer. So, you walk me through in your own words, kind of what 2025 has been like for you.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was a tough one. I kind of thought that, you know, based upon my history and relationships within the league, that like I would have been able to get some sort of opportunity in MLS, even if it was just strictly on a trial basis or kind of be brought into preseason. So I was kind of like, that's where my focus was at, kind of in the off season. And I kind of thought that like, I had it in my head that like I would probably be in somebody's preseason, even if it was just on trial. And that didn't happen. And I was just I was down in Charleston, which my parents split time there. So it was warm. I was like, I'll go down there for 2 weeks and be ready for preseason. And then I ended up being there for 9 months. But yeah, and kind of just like kept pushing that MLS deadline back, to be quite frank. Where like, you know, there was teams interested, but like they wanted to, you know, do something first. They needed to move players out first, or they wanted to go acquire other players, but like they saw me as a possibility. And so like, but like, give us a few weeks, give us a month. And I kind of like kept kicking it down, like, okay, something will click at some point. And it kind of just never did after like 6 months. And I was just like, okay, like I kind of sat down with myself, like, what do I want to do? Like, I kind of just had it in my head, I want to do this. I was like, I want to finish soccer in a different way. Like, I want to continue playing. And so then that's when I kind of started looking into more of the USL Championship for opportunities.
Yeah. And while you were in Charleston, some like brief time with the Battery, just on the training pitch, right? Staying fit.
No, it was awesome. It was Clemson actually played them in their preseason. So cool. I like went to the game to go watch Clemson or whatever. And then the Clemson coach, Mike Noonan, introduced me to the Charleston coach at the time. And so I was there and I was like, look, I'm just training on my own. It was kind of like, it wasn't very useful. I was like, hey, can I come and just train with you guys? And they were amazing. They were great. They were like, yeah, of course, we'd love to have you. They were great with me. They treated me amazing. The guys were great. And so that was my first taste of the USL Championship. And that's what kind of like opened my eyes to like, this is enjoyable. This is a good group. I was in the Batteries locker room, but this is a good group of people that love soccer, that like want to compete, want to play. The level's good. And so like, that's what kind of opened my eyes, kept me fit, and, you know, formed a relationship with Devin.
Yeah. Obviously Devin's the assistant at that time. Then we hired Devin here in Las Vegas, and Devin says, hey, this is like a good market opportunity, essentially. And then you end up here. So it's crazy how like it's funny to hear
Small
like
world.
Mike Noonan to Ben Pierman to Devin Rensing to here, and now we're sitting here podcasting for an hour and a half. So
no, it's a small world. It's how it works. A lot of times it's, you know, in all professions, really, it's who you know, what opportunities you get.
Yeah. As you look forward now, like at this point in your career, and I mean, obviously you're focused on game by game, finishing this out, making playoffs, all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, like what do you want out of your career at this point? You were touching on it there a little bit.
Yeah, I want to win. There's a couple of things. I want to win. I want to go compete and win. Like that's who I am. And I wanted to end this journey like on the field and particularly like with my family around to some extent. And so when things ended in New England with those 2 years, it kind of just like it didn't feel right. And so I'm very happy to be back playing. We'll see what happens. I love, as of right now sitting here, I want to continue playing. And so we'll see what happens for the future. But, you know, I'm just living more in the moment of like, let's enjoy today, make the most out of today. Like I have this awesome opportunity, this great group of people like that I'm working with, and like, let's go compete today and try to win and then move on to tomorrow.
Awesome. Final question for you here, Tommy. And this is the question I always end us on, because we've just spent a long time talking through your entire career, all the way from Westchester all the way to here in Las Vegas. Is there any point in that career, having reflected on it, that you feel like is a really important, pivotal, special part of the journey that you go, man, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it weren't for that experience, maybe that mentor or that thing that happened?
Yeah, for me it's like, well, some of it is obviously like luck and timing and right place, right time. Yeah. But I have like 3-4 like moments. It's not really like just this one.
Yeah, sure.
I think the first is the first by far and the most important is my parents. My father was my coach all the way through from when I was 3 years old. I think we started playing on a team, 4 years old, all the way through until I was 18 and left for college. And so he and my mom introduced me to the game. They sacrificed so much to give me opportunities in the game. And my dad taught me, you know, everything up until 18 years old. So I think that's the first one, that like having my parents. The second one was going to FC Westchester and being exposed to another culture and the coaches I was with, which was the Quiroga brothers and the guys on the team, and getting that experience of like, this is the next level at that age and I need to jump to their level. And then the last piece of it was meeting like Noonan, both at Brown and at Clemson, but even particularly more at Brown when I was 18. Just like he really pulled a lot out of me from a mental toughness, from a fighting personality standpoint that I had in me, but he really was the one that like got it out on a consistent basis to like go and get what you want. Yeah. So those are the three. Yeah. And I'm very grateful to all three of them.
Yeah, Mike Noonan, I feel like we talk about coaching trees. Mike Noonan's got a pretty incredible player tree, right? You're a good example of it, right? Across multiple different stops, but he's got a really wide-ranging like amount of people in the U.S. soccer world that he's touched, which I think is really fascinating. And he's someone that is really, really interconnected throughout the American soccer world that isn't as talked about often because he's in the college game, you know? So really fascinating and an interesting window into that. Well, Tommy, thanks for spending so much time with us. Really fun and fascinating to hear about your career and your perspective on it. So we'll wrap up there. Next opportunity to see Tommy is here at home, Cashman Field, this Saturday, September 13th, 7:30 p.m. kickoff against Miami FC for Hispanic Heritage Night. So we'll see you guys next time.